Hey, good day, everybody. Welcome to Indian Boxer Ring interview series number 4. Today, our guest is Ms. Yashodara. Ms. Yashodara is an acclaimed international all breeds judge and also the breeder of the famous famous kennel called Yashvin's. Ms. Yashodara has been in the breed for over actually close to 4 decades now, and she has bred close to 500 champions. And so she's also, or when I say recent, I would say 8 years now, she's also been an all breeds judge. And so she has had the opportunity to judge extensively in India and also outside of India as well. So it's with great pleasure that I invite or welcome Ms. Yashodara to Indian Boxer Ring. Ms. Yashodara, how are you doing?
Good. Hi, Ishwar. Thank you for inviting me to do this talk on boxers. And hi, everyone else. It's my pleasure to be here today. Thank you all.
Thank you. Ms. Yashodara, we have a lot of, you have made great strides in terms of having had the knowledge of breeding different breeds. But we're happy that you also had the opportunity to breed and show boxers as well. Now, we would love to actually get your expertise on a variety of topics, right from boxers, but not just about boxers, but also about rearing puppies, about breeding, about kennel management, and also about grooming as well. So we're looking forward to a lot of questions on these topics. And for viewers who are tuning in, feel free to ask your questions, and we have the opportunity to ask the question right from Ms. Yashodara, and she will be more than happy to answer your question. So for starters, Ms. Yashodara, I wanted to, for the benefit of people who might not know about Ms. Yashodara's start with dogs, could you share with our viewers how you got started with dogs and what made you decide on adding a boxer to your household?
You want me to start with how I got introduced to pedigree dogs?
Yes.
First,
please.
and then boxers. Yes. All
Yes.
right. Okay. Now, I've always loved dogs. As you know, all animals, I've just loved them. And I used to bring stray dogs into my house. And of course, there was a whole lot of them. And my father used to sometimes tell me, where do we get the money to feed these dogs? And I never understood that portion of it. I think when I was about 8 or 10 years, I had a fight with a friend of mine. And she wanted to insult me. And the worst way you can insult a person like me is to say, you've got only stray dogs in your house. I have 2 pedigree dogs, and they are German Shepherds. And they cost us 1,000 rupees each. Now, I didn't know dogs costed money those days. And I didn't know there was some breed called the German Shepherds. So immediately an idea flashed in my mind. I said, why not? Why cannot I breed German Shepherd dogs, sell my puppies at 1,000 rupees each, and I'll have enough money to feed the stray dogs? So with that idea, I went to my father. I was very, very scared of him. I went to my father. I pressed his legs for a long time. And then I asked him, Dad, can I have a pedigree dog? And the first thing he said was, oh, if you want a pedigree dog, it has to be a Doberman Pinscher. I was too scared to ask him what a Doberman Pinscher was. But then I learned another word. It was a Doberman Pinscher. So then I decided, yes, when I get married, I'm going to own 2 breeds of dogs. That's the German Shepherds and the Dobermans. Become a breeder, earn money, and feed stray dogs and all these abandoned animals. And that is how I got started, because there was no way I could do it with my father. So I was waiting for an opportunity to get married. Mm-hmm. So when I got the first 3,000 rupees as a marriage gift, I went and bought myself a Doberman and a German Shepherd. Wow. And that was the beginning of my success story, yes.
All right, wonderful. And how did you get into
boxers didn't happen by... Now, like I said, I'm a connoisseur of dogs, all breeds of dogs. I just love them. I think each breed is so perfect. And I have this idea that I always wanted to become a judge someday, be a specialist in the working group. So with this idea, I wanted to have a lot of breeds of dogs. But then boxers happened by design, because I had gone to America to see my sister, and she took me to a dog show in Houston. And as I was walking the dogs that were being benched over there, I saw a lady with a kid of about 8 or 9 years old with two very, very active dogs. One was a brindle boxer and one was a fawn boxer. And they were playing with this kid, and it was so amazing watching them. I don't know what prompted me to go up to this lady and ask her if she would sell one of them to me. And she said, yes. I said, I've got two girls and I would like to give them a gift of a boxer. I would like to take home a boxer this time. And so she told me, okay, you decide whether you want the brindle and white one or you want the fawn one. The brindle looked much more attractive to me at that time. So I said, I'll take the. I didn't know anything about bloodlines or anything. It's just that there were two lovely dogs, beautifully constructed, very athletic, and one came home with me.
Wonderful.
And we named him Miss Champion Misty River's Dreamcatcher, and we called him Hoover at home. Yeah. And he was my children's companion for a very long time.
Yes, I actually had the fortune of seeing that dog or some of his progenies as well. Yes, that was almost about, I would say, 20 odd years back, I would say.
Yeah.
Maybe slightly
Yes.
longer than that. Yeah. I actually wanted to ask you, Ms. Yashodara, your journey with dogs is something a lot of people would like to emulate. A lot of people would like to know how you managed to reach that distance, or how you managed to travel the distance that you have traveled. But I want to actually take you back. I want to take you back to the time when you started with dogs. Did you have a mentor in the dog game? Did you actually have anybody that actually taught you the ropes of dogs, or do you believe that it's important for somebody who is starting out with dogs to have a mentor?
Okay. Now, like I said, everyone should dream. That's the most important thing. In life is to dream. That's the most important thing. You dream big, what you want to be, how you want to be, and make it happen. That's the principle behind any business or anything you want to be in, our hobby or whatever you like to do. So I dreamt I'd have dogs, 40 dogs at one time. And as I was making money, the first thing I did was buy a farm for my dogs with beautiful kennels. I wanted to have the finest kennels in India, and that's how I started off right in the beginning itself. About having a mentor, see, not everyone really wants to share their knowledge. Let me put it very, very frank with you. They think, okay, what has taken me 40 years to acquire? Why should I teach someone in a matter of a month or 2 months or whatever? So it's left up to you to educate yourself. You need to read a lot. You need to go to dog shows. You need to see people how they judge, why they put up. Have these questions in yourself. Yes, you could go to some people whom you think are more viable to listening to you, to talk to you. Question them about that. It's nice. It's nice if you have people who are willing to help you out. And I was lucky. I had Carl Fuller to be my mentor for German Shepherds, a wonderful human being. And today, what knowledge I have about German Shepherds is all because of him. Thank you. I mean, I was really telling he's now not, I mean, he's no more now, but he's someone who really mentored me. If anyone really mentored me. And the second person I would like to thank is Miss Su Ling Tong of Singapore. Wherever I met her, whichever show, I used to hear what she taught, how she observes the dogs. And then I used to follow her, question her, and she was good enough to explain it to me. So I think these are the two people who played an important role in me understanding show dogs. Yes.
Thank you. I actually wanted to actually get your thoughts about breeding, and specifically about these theories that any book that you read about breeding talks about line breeding, inbreeding, and outcrossing. Now, for the benefit of novice IBR members, could you share some light on when one should resort to the above breeding practices? When one should line breed, or when should outcross or inbreed? What just some basics, or if there's any ground rules that you want to share with them about them, please.
So if you're hard enough as a breeder over years of experience, then you can resort to inbreeding. because that is known to produce the finest puppies. But then every puppy in the litter is not going to be good. You will have one good puppy and the rest might need to be put down. Do you have the guts to put them down? Because otherwise you're going to remove, lose all that you've been working for towards that particular breed. So if you're strong enough to do that, which I don't advocate, then you can do inbreeding. And then safest form of breeding would be line breeding, where you're breeding to related dogs, not very closely related, but then, like an uncle, aunt, second cousins, something like that. And yes, but even if you do that, the possibilities of having genetic problems cross coming up, problems of anything, temperaments, conformation, does happen. In which case, after every third generation, I advocate you do a complete outcross. You don't have any related bloodlines, and then do an outcross breeding, and then come back to line breeding. And that's been my success when I've bred all my dogs. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Now, I actually have a follow-up question to line breeding. Now, I know you have bred 500 champions, and breeding 500 champions in 40 odd years is no small feat. Now, of course, from that aspect, you had a vision and you stuck with it, and that was the result. But for somebody who is starting out, is it important to strive to breed for type in terms of through line breeding, or should they be outcrossing regularly to produce an outstanding dog? What should they be, what should be more important for them?
For a beginner, I would like to say be safe, do line breeding. Of course, if the bloodlines are good, they're excellent to fall back on. But then if you just have some dog where it doesn't even make sense, having him in a dam side and then having him in a father's side and then say you're doing line breeding, it doesn't make sense at all. So you need to know what you're following. Yeah, that's very, very important for a beginner. It's safer to do line breeding, but most important is having sound dogs. Whether it's a dam or the sire, they have to be sound dogs. Very typical. If you've got the type B dogs, correct in conformation, I would say even outcross breeding doesn't matter really, but they have to be type B.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. We're just going to take a question from a viewer, Yashodara. So I'm going to put this up on the screen. You have had many breeds from the working group, like boxers, Dobermans, Rottweilers. I know somebody, I hope this person didn't mean Min Pins to be in the working group. We don't want to have Min Pin work. Amongst all of these breeds, what would you rate the boxer in terms of how easy is it to keep the boxer rare, breed, and show?
Okay,
How easy or
breeding and
difficult is
showing.
it?
I think it's one of the easiest dogs. Uh, the boxer is very easy to maintain. He hardly needs any grooming at all. As long as his diet is correct, you keep him in good conditions, he's going to be in peak condition at all times. I did not have any problems with rearing them, no problems in breeding them, and showing is fantastic. You love showing a boxer with all his muscles, the taut skin. It's amazing. He's like a painting. It's lovely to show a boxer. So it's one of the easiest breeds to have. Yeah, yeah.
Right, right. I just wanted to actually ask you something based on this question. Um, Based on the different breeds that
No,
you've had, which one is the closest in disposition or character to a boxer?
I would say a miniature pinscher if you ask the dogs I
Okay.
breed, and he's also in the working group. He's active, he's agile, he's beautiful, he's got his own mind, he's intelligent. A miniature pinscher among the breeds. I mean, of course, a board ball would be the closest in conformation temperament from outside what I have owned and bred, or a bull mastiff. But among the breeds I have bred, I would say a miniature pinscher would come the closest to a boxer. He's beautiful, he's agile, he's friendly, he's loving.
Hmm. Wonderful, wonderful. Moving on, just had a question for you about the success of a brood bitch. how important do you feel a brood bitch is to a success of a kennel?
Now, if
Because
anyone
we
wants to
see,
start a kennel, the first thing I tell them is go get a good brood bitch. She is going to be the basis, the foundation of your kennel, the reputation of your kennel. You could always select a sire from outside. It's not so important. In India, what mistake they make is they go and buy good top winning dogs. But then, unfortunately, the females are not strong in their bloodlines or in conformation. And that is a problem because the brood bitch plays the most important role in breeding good dogs. So you should concentrate on good brood bitches and not on dogs. You
right,
could always go and use someone else's dog. If that doesn't suit you, you can use another dog the next time. But then you
right,
can't change your bitch.
right, true, agreed. Um, just I know you. This is actually something very similar to what I asked you already. But again, if somebody comes to you with a question on what to pick up, you're going to tell them pick up an outstanding brood bitch. But would you recommend that person reads the pedigree and pick up an outcross bitch, an outstanding outcross bitch, or an average looking and a tightly land bred bitch? Which one would you actually lean towards?
Honestly, Ishwar, the two dogs that I bred dog of the years were outcrossed dogs. There was nothing called line breeding. And if you
Mhm.
ask me to choose a dog, no, I don't see the pedigrees first. I need to see the dog physically, the conformation, how close he or she is to the type, whether she is the closest to the standards. That's important to me. The pedigree comes afterwards.
Right, right.
And people, unfortunately, don't understand what is an outcross breeding also, or they don't understand what line breeding. Like I said, they have one particular name appearing. They don't know if the dog is a good producer or whether he's going to give you the hip dysplasia problem or a bad mouth or whatever. But then his name appears on both the pedigrees and they tell you, well, we are line breeding on this dog. It doesn't make
Right,
sense because I believe you need to know what the pedigree is about. What are the dogs behind your pedigree? We need to see them physically, photographs, and assess the type. Is it the right one? Outcross breeding also, we are not going something so different. It's got to have the same conformations, the same type. If a dog lacks something, if the bitch is going to compensate that, yes, definitely, why not?
true, true. Agreed, agreed. So it more important
I
is the
would definitely
type.
go for an
Mhm.
outstanding outcross bitch, yes, to breed from.
Right, right, true, agreed. Okay, thank you. Um, I want to actually, I think from a kennel management perspective, I'm sure you would have had a lot of brood bitches in your kennel. And the important part of keeping so many brood bitches in your kennel was keeping track of their cycles too, right? The anestrus cycles. What are the
Yes.
cycles? Um, I wanted to actually ask you a two-part question. First part is how do you keep track of the cycles of the anestrus cycles of a bitch, of the brood bitches? And and the second part of this question is, do you think it's possible to regulate the cycles in brood bitches through diet, exercise, and nutrition?
Yes, everything is very natural in my kennels. There are no forced, coming into seasons or breeding, nothing like that. I don't even believe a dog should be helped when he's mating. I believe everything has to be natural. That's one thing which I believe in. And since I believe that we need to have strong bitches, for every stud dog I have, I make sure there are four brood bitches for it, you know. So, and when they come into season, yeah, he knows when to, at least he gives me the indication when it is ready to mate. And then I choose whether I need to use him or some other dog. And every dog in my kennel has a file, right from the vaccinations to the time they come into season, when they are bred, how many litters they have had, the names of the puppies, who are their clients. So everything is documented in my kennel. So it's very
Right,
easy to follow.
right,
Yes.
right. True, true. Just want to take a question from a viewer. Um, so
Yes, please.
I'm just going to post it up on the screen, and I'm going to the question here, Yashodara, is over the years, the breed standards, I'm sure most of us believe that over the years, the
Uh,
breed, we have improved in our breeding by importing some great dogs from the different parts of the world. However, why is that we never store the semen of these great dogs who have immensely contributed to our breed? I think it's a more pertinent question because now KCI has allowed for artificial insemination. What are your thoughts about that?
See, semen storage, the development of the usage of the semen is still underway in India. We have not come to any concrete, understanding of this, how it is to be done, whether we can do it, whether it's ethical, whether it's allowed, whether it's permitted by our kennel club. So that makes a very, very important uh, question here. Yes,
Mhm.
if once we have concrete rules, frozen semen is permitted, you could use it on the beaches, we can get some top semen from across the world, and we can definitely breed from
Right. Wonderful. But again, on the same topic of artificial insemination, do you believe that using a dog which is dead and gone is actually not a form of progression, or do you advocate that using dogs from the past?
I don't advocate that. I'm sorry. We have to keep progressing. And I'm sure we are breeding better and better and better. I don't think it's necessary for us to use a frozen semen of some dog 20 years back. Whatever foundation he has given to the breed as such. Yes, but if you want to import something which is currently available, some of the bloodline that is currently available, and you're not able to import the dog, take your dog over there, then yes, your frozen semen can be imported and maybe, inseminated in the bitch. Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. Now, the other question that we get frequently asked, or breeders frequently get asked, is about losing puppies due to milk poisoning. And I'm sure do you have any tips on how you can avoid milk poisoning in puppies or in litters
Uh,
rather?
there is the fading puppy syndrome. I've gone through this earlier, but this happens when the bitches are not dewormed correctly. It's very, very important that you need to deworm the puppies. So the mother dog, as soon as she's bred, when she's 30 days pregnant, it's very necessary that you deworm the mother so that the puppies don't carry this on. That's very important. And sometimes, you know, uh, regularly you need to give them anti-acid medicine. They get gastric. So
Mhm.
when the puppies are born, they carry the gastric syndrome in them, and then they're crying in pain because of the gastric problems, gastritis like. So if
Right.
you have fed your mother 3 or 4 days before she litters with something like milk of magnesia or gelucid, you don't have this problem also.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. True.
That's what I do, and I don't use puppies because of any
Mhm.
problems like this, feeding puppy syndrome at all.
Right. Right. Now, again, on the same topic of not losing puppies,
Yeah.
one issues that we notice is puppies getting observed, during the course of pregnancy. Is there, have you encountered that problem with your breeding
I
or?
have not, no, I've never encountered that problem of puppies. People tell me about it, but I
Mhm.
haven't encountered anything like that. Once a bitch is mated, and then she shows me the signs that she's pregnant, she carries the puppies full term. I have no problem at all.
Wonderful. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Now, I think one part of the equation is the brood bitch. The other part, of course, is the stud male in, the maintenance of a stud male. Um,
Yeah.
Now, could you share some tips on the maintenance of a stud male to actually prevent any acquired infertility in stud dogs? Because stud dogs sometimes become sterile. Um, and how do you avoid that? Or what are some of the tips that one can
See, as
actually
long as
want to
they're
give?
on a healthy diet, I think as long as the dogs are on a healthy diet, good environmental conditions, not overused, they're happy, emotionally happy. I don't think we should suffer this problem of being sterile. No. It's
Mm,
only when I think these things are lacking, a good healthy maintenance food, good healthy diet, and, environment. It's very, very important. You give them a good, loving environment. Very important.
true.
I've never had this problem also.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
mm,
Um, in terms of the optimal age for breeding,
yeah.
breeding your dog, a dog. Of course, the cycles of the dog start maybe as early as 8 months, and um, they probably actually have regular cycles till they're about 6 or 7 years of age. But what would be the best time? What would be the best age from a breeding perspective with a brood bitch?
You see, bitches get physically mature by the time they're 18 months to 2 years of age. So that's the time I breed them, when they're 2 years of age. And I only take 1 litter every year. So and not over 6 years of age. So in the entire lifespan of a particular bitch, I only breed her 3 or 4 times. Nothing more than that.
Right, right. That is. I just have a follow-up question from a viewer about the milk poisoning. Um,
Okay?
the question is the milk
Okay.
infection curable? Is it possible to cure that
Yes, it is.
particular?
It is. This acidic milk happens because the mother has encountered acidity or gastritis during her pregnancy state. So if you put her on 2 or 3 days before she's going to actually litter on milk of magnesia, which I swear by literally, this acidity is not present in the milk and all the pups will survive. Not to worry.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. I hope people
And
are
if
actually
it's
making
already
note
got
of
milk
this.
infection, in case it's already got milk infection, then you need to give them something like dry water so that there's no pain. Whatever
Mhm.
you would give a small child in case it's got a colic pain and some hot water fermentation, warm water fermentation, then it's okay, no problem at all.
Right. True. Uh, I actually wanted to thank you so much, Yashodhara. I hope and these are really good tips that you're sharing so far, and I hope I get a lot more of these tips before the end of the session. We are halfway through it. Um, I wanted to actually ask you about puppy rearing, because puppy rearing is extremely important, because identification
Yeah.
of the right puppy is crucial. But on the topic of puppy rearing, bone density is extremely important, in identifying the puppy's potential. And because puppy, if it is not got good bones, it might probably grow, might not grow into a good show dog. So from a grow
Mhm.
bone density perspective, do you have any tips to people on how it could be improved in a puppy through diet and nutrition, or is it even possible to improve the bone density through diet and nutrition?
Yeah. Now, first and foremost, that's what I always stress. The bitch you have, the brood bitch, has to be strong, healthy. That's very, because she is going to impart that onto her puppies. So you need to have a really good, healthy brood bitch if you decide to become a breeder. That's very important. Secondly, yes, bone density can be improved in puppies. You keep watching them grow, you feel that they are not absorbing the calcium from the mother's milk, then you use supplements. It's fine, you can do it, you can improve from what the parents taught us. You can definitely have better looking puppies with stronger bone density, and it's all through supplements and exercise. Not exercise, vitamin D3, make sure they get all these things in the right proportions. Definitely
Okay, wonderful.
nutrition, diet, very, very important.
Mhm. Now, on the same topic of puppy rearing, what are some of the common mistakes that you notice people do with rearing pups that they should
Mm.
avoid? Things that they should avoid while growing pups.
First of all, yeah, they don't realize she's a pregnant bitch. She needs extra food, extra nutrition. That's very important. People don't feed their bitches as much as they want to eat, or that's very important. And it's not just quantity, but you need to give a quality food. That's very important. And once you do that, you have your litter of puppies. You must ensure, if it's a large breed of dog, there are whelping boxes there. It's very important. You save a lot of puppies by the mother not sleeping on the puppies, or puppies getting crushed. So whelping box is very important for them. And
Right.
you have to play an important role as a breeder. You just cannot leave everything to the mother. I think the puppies will grow on their own till 30 days. And then, you take right from the day of the birth of the puppies, I play a very active role in rearing my puppies. So they are also very sociable because of the feeling of my hands, my breath, my smell. So they accept me right from day one, just as much as they accept their mother.
Right, right. And eye for quality. Eye for quality is extremely, you know, as people. There are different versions of this, and they say you can pick up show up while it is born. I've heard people say, you got to wait for 4 weeks, or 60 days, or 90 days. When does Miss Yashodara pick up her show puppy? How does she know, or what are the different things that she's looking for?
All right. Now, first and foremost, that is something that cannot be developed in us. You need to be born with an eye for a good dog. Very, very important. And how much I work. Like, I've got two daughters. There's one daughter of mine who can pick up a show quality puppy at 4 weeks of age, and there's another daughter I can teach her as much as I want, and she just can't understand why that puppy is superior to the rest of the puppies. You can't just learn this. You have to have this in you. Very, very important. As far as I'm concerned, at 4 weeks, I can surely make some differences out. But then I'm not going to base my judgment on what I see at 4 weeks of age. It's going to take 8 weeks by the time I decide which is going to be my show quality puppy and which is going to be my pet quality puppy.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now I'm coming back into boxers. Now, as a boxer breeder, having bred boxers, how important do you think flashy markings are for assessing the quality of the puppy, or a show quality of the puppy? Because I see a flashy marked puppy often advertised as a show quality puppy. What are your thoughts
Yeah,
about that?
it's very true. For me, it makes no difference at all. Absolutely no difference whether a dog has got flashy markings or he doesn't have any markings at all. Because it's people mistake a flashy marking for an attitude of a dog. A boxer needs to have attitude. As he's walking into the ring, he needs to say, "Here I am, I'm going to be the winner today." That attitude can come in a dog which has no markings at all. But then people think, yes, when he's got the flashy neck and that big flash on his forehead, he is going to be the winner. That is the sad thing. That misconception has to go away because it's not necessary. Yes, eventually when you're judging, and if all dogs are going to be of equal quality, perhaps that flashy marking is going to be like 5% up compared to the rest of the dogs.
True, true. Agreed, agreed. I think it's a mindset, as you rightly said.
Mindset, and people should understand that it's the other qualities we're looking for. Markings are not so important.
Mhm.
Markings don't make a dog.
Right, right. Miss Shodra, I actually had a lot of questions, or a lot of topics. The hotly contested topic with dogs are from an absorption perspective. So you mentioned about absorption of calcium in one of your answers.
Yeah.
Um, Raw diet versus kibble diet. What are your views about raw diet versus kibble diet? What do you think is?
I
Have you
would
tried both of
never,
them?
I would never give raw diet in a country like India. I'm very sorry. I'm sure my dogs will be infested with worms in a matter of 2 or 3 months' time. No way at all. My food is cooked for my dogs. To me, they're like my children. I mean, I treat them with that same love and affection. The food is cooked like a biryani every day, the meat, the rice, cooked for 4 hours, and I serve them that. Yes, it's a home cooked food with vegetables and meat and rice, what I give them. Kibble diet, yes, it is very, what do you call, uh, balanced. For a puppy's age, yeah, you need it. But once a puppy crosses 6 or 7 months of age, you can do away without it. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Just going to take another viewer's question here. Okay, so this is actually my favorite question. So this is about could you please
Okay.
name two boxes of your choice, one back in your days of breeding and one from the recent past or present? Or you can
Okay.
go with
In
two
the
in the past too.
1950s, in the 1950s, there
Yes.
was a dog called Bangovay of Syrah's Crest.
Okay.
He won 121 best in shows, in a matter of 4 years of time. And he's
Hmm.
bred about 81 champions. He was a sire of over 8. He is definitely, but that is something I've seen only through books. That's something I've
Hmm.
not seen in real life. But
Right.
Wilma, the dog that I saw in the Westminster show, she
Hmm.
took my breath away. She was
Right.
amazing who won the Westminster. I
She
mean,
is.
she is what I call a perfect boxer bitch. Yes.
Right. She is. She is. In fact, she actually she beat Bagaway's record, I believe,
Yeah.
winning in
Just,
terms of
yes.
number of best in shows. Yes. Yes. That is.
Yes. It's
She's a beautiful
amazing.
dog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful bitch. Yes.
Yes. Um, I want to actually move on to judging, Yashodhara. I know you have had the opportunity, or you've been fortunate to see the dogs evolve over the years from the 80s down, now to 2020. How how have boxes evolved in the time that you've seen them from 80s up until now?
So now in India, particularly, this is with reference to India. Ishwar, are you talking in reference to the dogs in India?
Yes, dogs in India. Yes, correct.
Yes. Oh, there's been a vast improvement. I mean, from what I saw in the 80s to now, there is, like you said, in the 80s, we concentrated on the flashy markings. It didn't matter to us if the dog had a good muzzle or not. We didn't bother about it as long as he had the flashing markings. Today, some of the boxers that enter the ring are amazing. Some of them are good mixes of the German lines, the American lines. They are power. I mean, to me, a boxer is like an athlete. An athlete. He has to have the muscles, the structure, be nimble on the feet. Uh, and this is what the present day boxers in India are. And today, I think they give a good competition to the Dobermans. We have had a lot of Dobermans in India which were winning and showing. And today, the boxers are giving a good competition to these Dobermans in the rings. And we are
Hmm.
getting some outstanding boxers in India. Everything,
Right.
it's changed. They have got the flashiness. I mean, when I say flashiness, it's that attitude they have, the charisma they have, and combined with the good structure, the conformation, being typey. Yes, definitely, there's
Hmm.
a lot of improvement.
Right. Right. Now, again, I want to actually, build on this same question because I know you have judged in outside of India as well. You've judged in quite a few countries outside of India, including Australia, South Africa, Thailand, UAE. Uh, how do you? What are some of the things that we are doing right in terms? When I say we, what about Indian boxers? Do you feel Indian boxers are competitive in terms of the world stage, or what are the areas you feel we should improve on?
Definitely, I think Indian boxers can go and be competitive with any of the boxers I've seen outside India. We have such good quality today. People have been very serious in their breeding programs. People who understand the breed have imported some of the good dogs, and we have done a wonderful job. It's just that we don't have the exposure, I think, and we have these regulations, taking dogs, bringing them back. That is what has prevented us from going abroad and competing in the world rings, in the
Hmm.
world shows. But
Right.
definitely some of the boxers in India can compete internationally.
Wonderful. Now, in terms of I think you are. I think you are a trendsetter of sorts, Ms. Yashodhara, if I can say that. But we don't see a lot of women handlers in India in the ring, show in the ring. What is your take on that? Why is that not happened? Why is it not happened? It's only dominated by men that show dogs, and we don't see too much of women showing dogs. Why is that the case? What is your take on it? I
Um,
don't want this to be a political question, but I just wanted to get your take on why you feel that way.
I don't know. I was driven by this passion to show dogs, breed dogs, win, become a judge. I don't know how many of the women share the same passion. I don't know really. Secondly, our culturally we are completely different from anywhere in the world. Women were not meant to come out and you know sort of exhibit themselves with the dogs, run around in the ring and things like it. We were more traditional in our thinking, in our thoughts, in the way we have been brought up. And I remember showing a boxer with a sari. I mean, that was me. Can you imagine this? I was also brought up in a very traditional household where I was not allowed to wear pants and jeans and salwars. So I had saris, but still it didn't deter me from not showing a dog. I did that. And I'm sure that scene can change if we encourage the women, because they are going to be the backbone in this industry. And I'm sure if we can give them encouragement, we'll have a lot more people, especially the younger generation, girls coming up to show their dogs.
True, true. Well, it is actually the case, having seen
You
dogs
know,
being, having witnessed shows in India and also abroad, I can tell that there's equal representation, and I feel, and I'm with you in your thoughts, we should have equal representation in India as well. Both men and
yeah.
women should show the dogs because,
I encourage women handling. I encourage women handling in the shows I'm judging. I make sure they get some prizes, which is interesting. So all this is going to make them. I mean, I just love encouraging women and children, especially in the shows. They are very important. A
right.
woman can show a dog much better than a man, in my opinion, because she understands. She's a mother. She can understand what the dog feels like. It's not a machine for her that she has to run and show. She's going to take care of the feelings of the dogs if he's in a happy mood, and she's going to mold herself in the way she shows him. So I think women will make wonderful handlers.
True. I think so too. I agree with you. Uh, Now, from a judging perspective, when you enter the ring to judge a dog, you have, you've been a breeder, or you still are a breeder. You have been an exhibitor, and now you're a judge. So, what's your mindset when you enter the ring to judge? What is your mindset? What is running on your mind?
Nothing. It's blank when I enter the ring. I'm just waiting to see the exhibits. I'm, excited. I'm like a child waiting for the best dog to make his presence or her presence. So I'm looking forward to it. And as they walk into the ring, I've already assessed many of the breeds. It's just the final touch-ups when they walk into the ring. I look for details, but as they enter the ring, I've made up which is going to be my winner for that day. Yes, that
Wonderful. Actually,
charisma.
I would love to know what that is, but that's for another day.
Yeah, sure.
Uh, but again, let me ask you this: what would be your expectation as a judge from an exhibitor, from the waiting ring till the end? So, what is your expectation from an exhibitor?
First and foremost, I hate people choking their dogs. So I'm there reprimanding them at every stage. I want the dog to run on a loose leash happily. I don't want him being pulled and dragged around. He's not something, he's not a showpiece like that. I'm not interested in that. I expect them to give uh, a, a decent amount of space between each of them. This is going to be no running race. It's not that I'm going to miss out on anyone, by cluttering around or running at a full speed. So that it's not all that. And mannerisms, very, very important to me. A small wishing, a small thank you makes a lot of difference from the exhibitors. Makes my day for standing 8 or 9 hours. I feel very happy when they do that. Yes.
True, agreed, agreed. I actually have a question for you based on what you said. Actually, this is for the benefit of all the novice IBR members that have tuned in. Um, why is a judge asking? What is a judge looking for when you ask for a down and back, or when you're asking for a diagonal or a circle? What are you looking for?
All right. Now, as the dog walks in, you see his conformation. You can see the style, the you know, the way he carries himself. All that is fine. You can see his expression. But then just walking around, you don't see his movement. Is he towing in? Is he not neat? Is his cow hocks touching each other? Is he got splayed feet? So it's so important for a judge because he's a dog. He's meant to do a work, and his movement has to be perfect. That's very, very important. So when you do this up and down movement, you can see how correctly he runs. The front legs, are they straightened up? Are they towing inside? Are they, being a what do you call you know, weeding around and, what do you call that? A technical term I don't know.
If the shoulders are loose, or if they are
And
actually.
the elbows, everything, you can make out everything, about the dog when he moves. And right from the front, when he goes away from me, I can see if his elbows are loose, if I can see them sticking out, or his cow hocked at the back. And when he comes forward, I can see whether he's doing inside.
Right. Wonderful. Excellent.
So please
Thank
check
you.
forward.
Absolutely. Because I think it's important to um, move the dog at the right pace. Like you said,
Yes, very
it's not
important.
a running race. You're not there to win a race. Which dog moves the fastest? But on the same topic, um, do you think there's a uniform pace for every dog to run, or it's different for every dogs?
It depends. It depends. I cannot expect a miniature pinscher or a dachshund to run as fast or as quickly as a boxer or a German shepherd. So every breed, as per the size, as per what it was meant to be, has a type of movement. An Afghan hound has a different movement. So you just cannot compare the movement of one breed with another breed. Definitely not. you
Right.
know but we like every dog to start with a slow pace, slow start, he trots and then increases his pace so that we can see what the movement is like.
Right. True. True. Of course. Um, Now, in terms of double handling, what are your thoughts about double handling? Because you started with German Shepherds, and German Shepherds double handling, you see a lot of it, but what started with German Shepherds have spread to almost all the other breeds in India.
Yeah,
It spread to
yeah.
Dobermans, it spread to boxers. There's a lot of calling from outside the ring. What are your thoughts about? Do you think that a dog should be trained for double handling, or do you think that's the right thing?
you know where, where I'm happy with the enthusiasm people showing their dog. It's increased. It's no more just stacking a dog and standing. It's a family that's involved. You see the child running in front of the dog, the wife with a bucket of food. It's nice. But sometimes, like I said, it becomes too cluttered where it distracts the judge. There's too much of noise. It distracts the other dogs. So one person for a working dog, especially like a Rottweiler or a herding lot of German Shepherds, I don't mind one double handler in the ring, but not more than that per dog.
Right, right, true, true. And on
Not
the
going to
same,
discourage double handling because it shows the involvement. It
okay,
makes them happy. So why not? I can forgive myself for some time and then allow them to do that.
true, true. Again, it's just keep it under control. Just don't get overboard. That's your advice for
The
people.
rule says, as per the FCI standards,
Hmm.
there should be no double handling at all.
Right, right,
Absolutely no double handling is allowed as per our FCI standards.
right.
So it's when people realize this that the handlers start realizing this, and the clubs start becoming a little stricter slowly. You can't impose the rules all of a sudden on one day. So we
True,
slowly start getting them out of it.
true. Of course, agree. Absolutely
And
agree.
also sometimes what happens is it distracts the judge. Like,
Mm,
when you have three people with a Rottweiler screaming his dog, and I'm very particular about the expression of a dog. I need to see him. I need to see the temperament. What happens is they're either baiting him, and the moment I go with my hand, they want to nick my hand. because they think it's a bait. I don't blame the dog at all. And then, how much have I called him? How much have I go in front of him to see his face? It doesn't happen because he's more keen to watch his people, distracting him. So that becomes a big problem when we are judging. Yes.
True, true, agreed. On the topic of baits, do you think a dog? Do you find that? Do you find that baiting a dog with a food could be very, or should a dog be trained to bait on a food with free stack, or should it be just baited with something which is not which you don't need a food for baiting a dog? What do you think?
I
Because
just love fish stacking. What the brain is. I think they
mm,
should stand naturally. The curiosity makes them look beautiful. They are looking at all other dogs around them that gives them the expression. It's not a dead expression. With a bait, I feel the dog is only concentrating on some things that, or with the jolly ball the Rottweilers have. I mean, they're going crazy. They are losing their minds, I feel. So I don't like that. I like a free stack dog. And yeah, maybe you can keep a little bit of a bait if you think it's there, but I don't think it's necessary at all. Dogs
okay,
can show themselves very well.
wonderful. That's excellent. And again, the question about handling in India. So, what are some of the common flaws that you notice with handling or with presentation of dogs in the conformation shows in India?
Okay, now, first and foremost, what puts me off totally is the moment I go to examine the dog. Madam, this is a champion from Russia. He's been imported from Germany. He's a V1 dog over there. Or who owns the dog? I mean, that puts me off totally. Like I said, I'm not bothered about what bloodlines the dog has or who the owner is. I am seeing the dog as it is. So that's the first thing that puts me off. Secondly, the handler thinks he's showing himself and not the dog. He's more bothered about flaunting himself. He's not bothered if the dog is lagging behind or he is somewhere else, but then he makes sure that he is having all the presence around him, which is not right. I mean, sometimes they dress badly, it's not good. It's too distracting for a judge, the way he judges. There is no, mm, what do you call everything should be beautiful, should blend together, the dog and the handler. That's important. And like I said, I hate people choking their dogs. I'm one person who will never forgive a handler when he chokes the dog. I will not tolerate that in the way. That's
Right.
one of the things. And then he's frequently adjusting the legs and I mean, let the dog stand. If it's a correctly conformed dog, he is going to stand naturally well. So why keep tugging at his feet and his leg? And it's all unnecessary. It distracts the judges. Totally.
True. Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the
Balance.
problem.
If the dog has the balance, he's gonna
He's
be
going to stand well, however, and I take them by surprise by saying when the dog is not being stacked because I know very well that these handlers are trying to not, they're going to camouflage the flaws, especially with the twiddling, I know. And then I'm going to concentrate more on that area. And when he's holding the tail like that, I know the tail has got a kink or some problem. So I'm going to go all the more stronger over there and make double check that.
true. True.
And if
Agreed.
he's if he's holding that bite in a particular way, the teeth, the muzzle, then I know either it's got a missing tooth or some problem. So I'm going to concentrate more on that.
True. 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 Agreed. Uh, on the condition of the dog, the show condition. India being a tropical country, we have the extremes of heat or cold. We also have some dogs that are being exhibited which have kennel marks,
Yeah.
on their elbows or on their thighs. Um, do you have any tips on how this can be avoided? How can you keep the condition of the dog, the skin good so that it doesn't have that?
See, the thing is, people must understand first and foremost whether they're going to have a show dog or it's just going to be a home dog or a kennel dog. You can't expect a dog which has been in the kennel sleeping on rough floors and then expect him to win the next day by camouflaging and marking his legs and chalking it. It's not going to be. Show dogs need a lot more care, a lot more maintenance than normal dogs. And of course, you will not get this callus on the elbows if your dog is trained as a puppy itself to sleep on something soft. A bedding should always be provided. Trained from the early stages of its life to sleep on a bedding, you will not have these problems.
Right, right. True. And again, I on the subject
Correct
of,
grooming
I'm sorry,
for
please go
good
ahead.
skin condition.
Hmm.
On good skin condition, you need to groom the dog correctly, regularly. Some of
Hmm.
the dogs that come in the showroom are smelling, stinking. It's
Mm,
horrible. You can't
mm,
expect them to win. I know they're matted, they're got
mm.
knots on their. It's ridiculous. So
Right,
we need a lot of education in this side of the showing where people have to understand a show dog needs a lot more care, a lot more attention. For the matter, any dog, I believe every dog, you have a responsibility of looking after a dog, maintaining it correctly.
right, right. Is there something called as over bathing a dog? Isn't like
Yeah,
it's
yes. Yeah. Now, a dog releases the oils in the skin every 14 days. So what happens is if you're going to bathe the dog today and there's no oils on his body, and from the 14th day he's going to start releasing the oils, and then you're bathing him again, this is definitely going to give him very dry, flaky skin. So you should avoid that. Overbathing is not good for a dog. Minimum bathing is once a month.
okay, wonderful. Is there something called, do dogs have moisturizers, Mr. Shodra? Do you
Natural
put moisturizers for
moisturizers, we
dogs?
have ready-made moisturizers.
Yes.
I mean, you mean to say, yeah, there are
Or maybe
moisturizers.
even home concoctions of
Yeah,
moisturizers.
those can do that. Yeah, if your skin, like boxers tend to have a lot of sunburn problems, they have a lot of dandruff problems. Yeah, just plain dahi from the house and nice curds, just massage onto them or coconut oil once a
Hmm.
month.
Hmm.
Wonderful, works wonderfully well with these dogs. Yes, in moisturizing this.
Right, right. And what do
And
you?
for the callus, I used to use Vaseline, which is very
Mhm,
very good, works very well. Yeah.
mhm. Okay. And what about exercising your dog? I know people have different notions about, especially with German Shepherds. You had German Shepherds, different working group dogs. What is, what is the right amount of exercise? Is it, when do you decide it's too much?
I believe a dog or a puppy should never be exercised till he's 6 months of age. He's still developing. You need to allow him to develop. There's going to be no forced exercise for him. Whatever he runs around, if you have a compound, play with him. The moment he's tired, bring him inside. Please don't take him running 2 kilometers and 3 kilometers. He does not need that. It's not necessary at all. Running him on a cycle, all that is dangerous for him actually. You don't do that. And yeah, when they're over a year old, you can start exercising them by giving them about 2 to 3 kilometers of run every day, and definitely not exceeding 4 kilometers. Because they are not active working dogs in India. We are not using them for sheep herding, where their dogs are herding sheep from early morning till late in the night. They are doing something like 18 kilometers, herding 2,000 sheep. We are not actively working our dogs. So this exercise is much more than enough.
True. Very, very well said, Ms. Yashodara. Thank you again. I think we are at time. I thank you again, once again, for sharing your journey with dogs. Your long journey, and your notable accomplishments and your knowledge as well. Much, much appreciated again, and I'm sure people who are listening to it or watching it will find it as useful as I found it personally myself. I thank you again, once again, for your
Thank
time.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure entirely. I love talking about dogs, and boxers is one of my favorite breeds. Thank you so much, Ishwar.
Thank you, Mr. Shodra. Have yourself a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye bye.